My friend used me as free childcare. She didn't know I was recording. Emma, I'm so sorry to call you like this, but I'm literally sitting in the hospital parking lot and they just told me my mom might need emergency surgery. Can you please watch Lily? I know it's last minute, but I have nobody else. I could hear the panic in Sarah's voice through the phone, and my heart immediately went out to her. It was 9 p.m. on a Tuesday, and I had 3 assignments due by midnight, but family emergencies don't wait for convenient timing. Of course, I said, already closing my laptop. Bring her over. Is your mom okay? I don't know yet. They're running more tests. You're a lifesaver, Em. I owe you big time. 20 minutes later, Sarah rushed up to my dorm room carrying a sleepy 3-year-old Lily and an overnight bag. Her makeup was perfect, her hair was done, and she was wearing a tight black dress under her coat, but I figured she'd probably been out to dinner when she got the call about her mom. She's already in her pajamas, Sarah said, handing me the bag. I'll text you updates when I know more. Thank you so much. I spent the next 4 hours trying to get Lily settled while frantically working on my assignments. She kept asking for her mommy and didn't understand why she couldn't sleep in her own bed. By the time I submitted my papers at 11:58 p.m., they were barely coherent. I'd probably failed my political science midterm prep entirely. Sarah didn't text me a single update that night. The next morning, I was feeding Lily cereal and watching cartoons when I decided to check Instagram. Maybe Sarah had posted something about her mom's condition. Instead, I found a series of stories from the night before. Sarah at Murphy's bar with her coworkers. Sarah doing shots with some guy I didn't recognize. Sarah dancing until 2 a.m. at Club 21 downtown. I stared at my phone screen, scrolling through the timestamps. 10:47 p.m. shots with the girls. 12:23 a.m. dance floor vibes. 2:15 a.m. best night ever. My stomach dropped. While I was here stressing about her family emergency and sacrificing my grades to watch her daughter, she was partying downtown. The hospital parking lot story was complete bullshit. But I reasoned with myself. Maybe the hospital thing was real and she just needed to blow off steam afterward. Maybe her mom was fine and she went out to celebrate. I was probably overreacting. When Sarah picked up Lily at noon, she looked exhausted and hungover. How's your mom? I asked carefully. Oh, much better. False alarm, thank God. The doctor said it was just a panic attack that mimicked heart attack symptoms. She's totally fine now. She wouldn't quite meet my eyes. I'm so sorry for the scare. I was up all night worrying. I nodded and smiled, but something cold was settling in my chest. The timestamps on her Instagram stories told a very different version of where she'd spent her night. No problem. I'm just glad everything worked out. You're the best, Emma. Seriously, I don't know what I'd do without you. As I watched her walk away with Lily, I couldn't shake the feeling that I'd just been played. But Sarah had been my best friend since sophomore year of high school. We'd been through everything together. She wouldn't lie to me about something this serious. Would she? 2 weeks later, Sarah called again. Emma, I'm so sorry, but my boss just called an emergency meeting about the Peterson account. If I don't show up, I could lose my job. Can you take Lily for a few hours? I know you have that study group tonight, but... It's fine, I interrupted, though my heart sank. I'd been looking forward to the study group for days. We were reviewing for Professor Martinez's notoriously difficult constitutional law exam, and I couldn't afford to miss it. Bring her over. You're amazing. I'll pick her up by 9, I promise. Sarah arrived 15 minutes later in her work clothes, a professional blazer and pencil skirt that looked appropriate for an emergency meeting. Lily ran to me immediately, chattering about the new cartoon she'd discovered. At least one of us was happy about this arrangement. Peterson account, right? I asked as Sarah handed me Lily's backpack. Yeah, our biggest client. Super demanding. You know how it is. She was already backing toward the door. I'll text you when I'm done. I spent the evening helping Lily with a coloring book while trying to read my constitutional law notes. By 9 p.m., Sarah hadn't texted. By 10 p.m., I was getting worried. By 11 p.m., I was pissed. I opened Instagram, telling myself I was just checking to make sure she was okay. The first story hit me like a slap. Posted at 8:47 p.m., Sarah and 3 other girls at Topgolf, drinks in hand, laughing at something off camera. The caption read Girls' Night. Finally. I scrolled through the rest with my jaw clenched. 9:15 p.m. strike, with a video of Sarah bowling. 10:30 p.m. karaoke queens, showing Sarah belting out what looked like a Beyoncé song. There was no Peterson account. No emergency meeting. No demanding boss. Just my best friend living it up while I played unpaid babysitter for the second time in 2 weeks. My phone buzzed. A text from Sarah, meeting running super late. Can you keep Lily overnight? I'll get her first thing in the morning. You're a saint. I stared at the message, then back at her Instagram stories. The latest one, posted 3 minutes ago, showed her and her friends ordering another round of drinks. Night's just getting started, with fire emojis. Mommy working late again? Lily asked, looking up from her coloring page. Yeah, sweetie. Looks like you're staying here tonight. Yay. Sleepover. She seemed genuinely excited, which made my chest tighten. How often was Sarah doing this? How many work emergencies and family crises had there been? I tucked Lily into my bed around midnight and spent the next 3 hours lying on my futon, staring at the ceiling. Sarah's Instagram stories kept updating throughout the night. 12:45 a.m. at a late-night diner. 2:20 a.m. outside some guy's apartment building with the caption coffee? Winking face. The Peterson account meeting had apparently turned into an all-night booty call. Sarah finally showed up at 11 a.m., wearing yesterday's work clothes and looking like she'd rather be anywhere else. Her hair was messy, her makeup was smudged, and she reeked of cigarettes and alcohol. How did the meeting go? I asked, testing her. Exhausting. We were there until almost 3 a.m. going over contracts. She yawned dramatically. But we saved the account, so it was worth it. I nodded slowly. That's great. Really great that you could pull through for such an important client. Yeah, well, that's the job. She gathered Lily's things quickly. Thanks again, Em. I seriously owe you. As I watched them leave, one thought kept echoing in my mind. If she could lie this easily about something so elaborate, what else was she lying about? I started paying closer attention after that. Not because I wanted to catch Sarah in lies, but because I couldn't shake the feeling that something was fundamentally wrong with our friendship. The Sarah I thought I knew wouldn't manipulate me like this. But the evidence was right there on social media, timestamped and geotagged. 3 weeks passed without any emergency babysitting requests. I almost convinced myself I'd been paranoid. Maybe those two incidents really were coincidences. Maybe Sarah had learned to plan better, or maybe work had calmed down. Then she called on a Friday afternoon. Emma, thank God you picked up. My landlord just called and said there's a gas leak in my building. They're evacuating everyone immediately and we might not be able to go back until Monday. Can Lily stay with you this weekend? I'm going to crash at my cousin Jessica's place, but her apartment is way too small for a toddler too. I hesitated. This weekend was supposed to be dedicated to my senior thesis research. The library was finally getting the historical documents I'd requested through interlibrary loan, and Professor Chen expected my preliminary findings by Tuesday. I know it's a huge ask, Sarah continued before I could respond. But I literally have nowhere else to take her. Child services would get involved if I can't prove she has somewhere safe to stay. The mention of child services made my decision for me. Whatever was going on between Sarah and me, Lily didn't deserve to get caught in the middle of it. Of course. Bring her over whenever you need to. You're incredible, Em. I'll pack her a weekend bag and be there in an hour. Sarah arrived with an unusually large overnight bag and seemed rushed. She was wearing designer jeans and a crop top that looked more weekend getaway than emergency evacuation, but I didn't comment. So they're saying it could be until Monday? I asked as she set down Lily's things. Yeah, maybe even Tuesday. Old building, you know? They have to check every unit and repair the main line. She was already heading for the door. Jessica's expecting me, and you know how she gets when people are late. After they left, I settled into what I thought would be a quiet weekend of research and Lily time. She was actually a sweet kid when she wasn't confused about why her mom had abandoned her again. We made pancakes Saturday morning, went to the campus playground, and she even helped me organize my note cards by color. Saturday night, while Lily was asleep, I mindlessly checked Instagram. I wasn't even looking for Sarah's posts, I was procrastinating on reading a particularly dry academic paper about constitutional interpretation. But there it was. Posted 2 hours ago, Sarah in a bikini by what was clearly a hotel pool, cocktail in hand, with the caption weekend getaway with my love. 2 Hearts Beach with umbrella. She was tagged at the Marriott Resort, 2 hours outside the city. I scrolled through her previous stories with increasing disbelief. Check-in at the hotel at 3 p.m. yesterday. Room service champagne. Couples massage appointment confirmations. Dinner at the resort's 5-star restaurant. This wasn't a cousin Jessica emergency crash pad. This was a romantic weekend vacation that Sarah had planned in advance. My hands were shaking as I scrolled through more photos. Sarah and some guy I'd never seen before, definitely not anyone she'd mentioned dating. Hotel bathrobes. Sunset photos. All the classic romantic getaway content. The gas leak story was completely fabricated. Sarah had planned this trip and needed someone to watch Lily for the weekend. Instead of asking me honestly, or offering to pay me, or even giving me enough notice to decline politely, she created an elaborate emergency that would make me feel guilty for saying no. I was still staring at my phone when it buzzed with a text from Sarah. Jessica's place is so cramped. Thank you again for taking Lily. You're saving my life right now. Red heart. The message was sent from the Marriott Resort. I could see the location stamp. I screenshotted everything. Every Instagram story, every location tag, every timestamp. The text message claiming she was at Jessica's cramped apartment while she was actually at a luxury resort spa. For the first time since this pattern started, I had undeniable proof that Sarah was systematically lying to me. This wasn't a misunderstanding or a coincidence. This was calculated deception. And I was done being her free babysitting service. The weekend dragged on endlessly. Every time I looked at Lily coloring at my desk or watching cartoons on my laptop, I felt this weird mix of anger and guilt. Anger at Sarah for lying so blatantly, and guilt because part of me was starting to resent an innocent 3-year-old who had no idea her mom was using her as manipulation bait. Sunday afternoon, while Lily napped on my futon, I made a decision that probably crossed some kind of friendship boundary. I called Jessica. Sarah's cousin had always been friendly to me at family gatherings, and we followed each other on social media. If Sarah was really staying there due to a gas leak emergency, Jessica would know about it. Hey Emma. What's up? Jessica sounded genuinely happy to hear from me. Hi Jess. I hope I'm not bothering you. I just wanted to check how you're doing with your unexpected houseguest this weekend. There was a pause. Houseguest? What do you mean? My stomach dropped, but I pressed on. Sarah said there was a gas leak at her building and she's staying with you while I watch Lily. I just wanted to make sure you both are okay and not too cramped over there. The silence stretched longer this time. When Jessica finally spoke, her voice was careful. Emma, I haven't seen Sarah in like 3 weeks. She's definitely not staying here. And I haven't heard anything about a gas leak. Oh. I tried to keep my voice steady. Maybe I misunderstood which cousin she meant. She only has 2 cousins in the city, Jessica said quietly. Me and Marcus. And Marcus is out of town this week for work. Emma, is everything okay? I told her it was fine, just a miscommunication, and hung up quickly. But Jessica's concern lingered in her voice. She knew something was off too. That evening, Sarah's Instagram stories continued documenting her romantic getaway. Sunset dinner on the resort balcony. Couples yoga class. Late night hot tub session with her mystery boyfriend. Each post felt like another slap in the face. Around 9 p.m., my phone rang. Sarah's name lit up the screen. Hey babe, she said, and I could hear laughter and music in the background. Just wanted to check in. How's my little angel doing? She's good. Sleeping now. I paused, testing the waters. How's Jessica's place treating you? Oh, you know Jess. Always a little chaotic, but I'm managing. Her Wi-Fi is terrible though, which is why I haven't been texting much. The lie came so smoothly, so naturally. In the background, I could hear someone calling her name, a distinctly male voice saying, "Sarah, the champagne's here." "I should probably go," she said quickly. "Jess ordered room service, takeout. Chinese food. You know how it is." "Sure. When do you think you'll be back?" "Probably Tuesday morning, like I mentioned. Maybe Wednesday if the repairs take longer than expected." "You're okay with that, right?" I know it's a lot to ask. I stared at Lily's sleeping form, her tiny hand curled around her stuffed elephant. "It's fine, Sarah. You're literally the best friend ever, Em. I don't deserve you." That might have been the first honest thing she'd said to me in months. After she hung up, I sat in the dark for a long time, thinking. This wasn't just about lying to get free babysitting anymore. Sarah was getting comfortable with deception on a level that felt almost pathological. The ease with which she constructed these elaborate stories, the way she doubled down when I gave her opportunities to come clean, it was like she'd been practicing. I opened my laptop and started typing. If Sarah wanted to play games with fake emergencies and fictional family crises, maybe it was time I started keeping better records of exactly what those games looked like. Starting with screenshots of every single Instagram story from this weekend, timestamped and saved. Just in case I ever needed proof of who my best friend really was. Tuesday morning came and went without any word from Sarah. Then Wednesday. By Thursday afternoon, I was genuinely worried, not about Sarah, who was clearly still posting vacation content, but about what story she'd fabricate to explain the extended absence. My answer came in the form of a phone call at 6 p.m. "Emma, I'm so sorry." Sarah's voice was thick with fake tears. "The gas leak was worse than they thought. They found structural damage and now the whole building is condemned. I'm basically homeless right now and looking at apartments, but everything requires a security deposit and first month's rent up front. I'm totally broke until my next paycheck." I pulled up her Instagram while she talked. Her most recent story, posted 3 hours ago, showed her getting a manicure at what looked like an expensive resort spa. The one before that was a shopping haul from the hotel gift shop. "That sounds really stressful," I said carefully. "Where are you staying tonight?" "Jessica said I can crash on her couch for a few more days while I figure things out. But Emma, I have to ask you something, and please don't hate me." She took a shaky breath. "Is there any way Lily can stay with you until the weekend? I know it's been almost a week already, but I can't apartment hunt with a toddler, and I can't afford a hotel room big enough for both of us." "You've been apartment hunting all week?" "Every single day. It's exhausting. Do you know how hard it is to find a decent 2-bedroom that allows kids in this market? And with my credit score." She trailed off dramatically. I switched to her tagged photos while she continued her sob story. The Marriott Resort had its own hashtag, and Sarah appeared in dozens of posts from other guests throughout the week. Pool parties, group dinners, resort activities. In one photo from Tuesday, she was wearing a different bikini and laughing with the same mystery guy, tagged at the resort's beach volleyball court. "The thing is," she continued, "I found a place that might work, but I need to put down a deposit tomorrow. It's $1,200, and I'm short about $800. I know this is asking a lot, but could you possibly lend me the money? I'll pay you back as soon as I get my paycheck next Friday." And there it was. The real reason for the extended fake emergency. "You need me to loan you $800? I asked. "I know it's a huge amount. But Emma, if I don't get this apartment, Lily and I might end up in a shelter. I've already maxed out my credit cards on the hotel costs from last week," she caught herself. On food and gas driving around looking at places. I almost laughed at how casually she'd admitted to hotel costs before covering it up. "Let me think about it, okay? 800 is a lot for me too." "Of course. I totally understand. But if you could let me know by tomorrow morning, that would be amazing. The landlord has other people interested." After she hung up, I sat staring at my phone for a long time. Lily was at the playground with my neighbor Katie, giving me a few minutes to process this conversation. Sarah wasn't just lying about emergencies to get free babysitting anymore. She was creating increasingly elaborate fictional crises to manipulate me into giving her money. The fake gas leak had evolved into fake homelessness, complete with a fake apartment deposit story. I opened my laptop and pulled up my growing document of Sarah's lies. Screenshots, timestamps, phone call logs. The evidence was overwhelming, but it still felt surreal to see it all laid out like this. My phone buzzed with a text. I forgot to mention, the apartment I'm looking at is in a really good school district for Lily. It would be such a fresh start for us. Thanks for considering the loan. You're literally my guardian angel right now, Red Heart." Guardian angel. Right. I was starting to realize I wasn't Sarah's best friend. I was her personal ATM with a free childcare service attached. I decided to call Sarah's bluff. Friday morning, I texted her, "Hey, I can help with $400 toward the deposit, but I'd need to meet you at the apartment to give the money directly to the landlord. Want to make sure everything's legit for both our sakes. What's the address?" Her response came back suspiciously fast. "OMG, you're amazing. But actually the landlord wants cash only and he's super weird about meeting new people. Trust issues from bad tenants before. Could you just Venmo me? I promise I'll send you pics of the lease." "No problem," I typed back. "What's the landlord's name and the property management company? I want to look up reviews online before we commit to anything." This time it took her 2 hours to respond. "It's just a private landlord, not a company. Bob Martinez. He doesn't really have an online presence, older guy, keeps things simple. But I need to put the money down by 3 p.m. or he's giving it to the next person in line. Bob Martinez." I almost snorted. Sarah's constitutional law professor was named Professor Martinez. She wasn't even trying anymore. "Okay, let me see what I can do," I replied, then immediately opened Instagram. Sure enough, Sarah's latest story showed her at the resort's poolside brunch buffet, posted 20 minutes ago. She was wearing sunglasses and laughing at something off camera, with the caption, "Last day of paradise sun back to reality tomorrow." Last day. Which meant she'd been planning to find an apartment and come back tomorrow all along. The urgent 3 p.m. deadline was just pressure to make me send money quickly before I could think too hard about it. I screenshotted everything and added it to my growing file. Then I did something that felt both necessary and completely crazy. I called the Marriott Resort directly. "Hi," I said when the front desk picked up. "I'm trying to reach my friend Sarah Chin. She's a guest there this week with her boyfriend. Could you transfer me to her room?" "Let me check our registry," the receptionist said cheerfully. After a moment, I have a Sarah Chin checked in through Sunday in the couple's suite. "Would you like me to connect you?" "Actually, that's okay. I just wanted to confirm she was still there." "Thank you." Sunday. She wasn't even planning to come back tomorrow like she'd told me. She was extending her vacation through the weekend, probably hoping to squeeze more emergency money out of me to cover the extra nights. My phone rang while I was still processing this information. Sarah's name flashed on the screen. "Emma. I have amazing news." Her voice was bright and excited. "The landlord said if I can get him the full $1,200 today instead of just the $800 I'm short, he'll include utilities in the rent for the first 6 months. That would save me like $200 a month. Is there any way you could do the full amount? I'll pay you back $600 next Friday and $600 the Friday after that." She wanted $1,200 now. For a completely fictional apartment. That's a lot of money, Sarah. I know. But think about it, this could really change things for Lily and me. A stable home, good schools, a fresh start. And you'd be getting your money back in just 2 weeks anyway. In the background, I could hear pool sounds. Splashing, people laughing, tropical music. The desperate apartment hunt was apparently taking place poolside at a luxury resort. "Can I call you back in an hour?" I asked. "I need to check my bank account and see what's possible." "Of course. But Emma, the landlord really needs an answer by 2 p.m. now. He's got 3 other people coming to look at it this afternoon if we can't commit." After she hung up, I sat there holding my phone and feeling something I'd never felt towards Sarah before, genuine disgust. Not just at the lying, but at how comfortable she'd gotten with manipulating me. How easily she could fake tears and desperation while literally lounging at a resort spa. And then it hit me. If Sarah could lie this smoothly to me about everything from family emergencies to homelessness, what was she telling other people about me? I opened my laptop and started searching through our mutual friends' social media, looking for any mentions of babysitting or Sarah's various crises. What I found made my blood run cold. I found a Facebook post from 3 weeks ago where Sarah had tagged our mutual friend Ashley in a comment thread about reliable babysitters. Girl, I'm so lucky to have Emma. She drops everything whenever I need help with Lily. Literally saved my ass so many times when work gets crazy or family stuff comes up. And she never even asks for gas money. Face with tears of joy. The laughing emoji made my stomach turn, but it got worse. Ashley had replied, "Wait, Emma watches Lily for free? That's amazing. I pay my sitter $15 an hour." Sarah's response, "I know, right? She's studying education, so she loves the practice. Plus she doesn't really have a social life anyway, so it works out perfectly. Win-win situation, raising hands." I stared at that line until the words blurred. She doesn't really have a social life anyway. Like I was some pathetic loser with nothing better to do than provide free childcare for her fake emergencies. But I kept digging, and it got so much worse. In a group chat with her coworkers that she'd accidentally shared to her Instagram story last month, I found screenshots of conversations about me. Someone had asked Sarah how she managed to afford going out so much as a single mom. "Oh, I've got this friend from college who's obsessed with my daughter," Sarah had written. "She literally begs to babysit. It's kind of sad honestly, but super convenient. She'd probably pay me to watch Lily if I asked," face with tears of joy. Another message from the same thread, "Emma's one of those girls who thinks helping people makes her special, you know? Like she gets off on being needed. So easy to manipulate, I just cry a little about being overwhelmed and she comes running." The word manipulate was right there in black and white. She wasn't even trying to hide it from her coworkers. This wasn't unconscious taking advantage of a friend's kindness. This was calculated, deliberate manipulation that she was actually bragging about. My hands were shaking as I scrolled through more evidence. A Twitter thread where she'd complained about bleeding heart friends who make you feel guilty for having any fun as a single mom. A Snapchat story where she'd filmed herself getting ready for a night out with the caption, "Thank God for desperate girls who think babysitting makes them family." Desperate girls. Is that really how she saw me? But the worst part was a voice message in a group chat with her book club friends from 2 months ago. Someone had shared an audio file to Instagram stories, and I could hear Sarah's actual voice saying, "Honestly, Emma's kinda pathetic. She has zero boundaries and no backbone. I could probably tell her my house was on fire and she'd offer to bring marshmallows. It's like having a live-in nanny who pays her own rent somewhere else." The other women in the chat were laughing. Actually laughing at how easy I was to manipulate. The best part, Sarah continued in the recording, is that she thinks we're best friends. Like, genuinely believes I care about her opinion and value our friendship. It's almost sweet how naive she is. I slammed my laptop shut and immediately ran to the bathroom to throw up. 4 years of friendship. 4 years of thinking I was helping someone I cared about. 4 years of believing that Sarah valued our relationship, that she was grateful for my support, that she actually enjoyed spending time with me. But I wasn't her friend. I was her mark. Her easy target. The desperate girl she could manipulate whenever she needed free labor or money. When I came back to my room, Lily was awake and asking for lunch. Sweet, innocent Lily, who had no idea her mother was using her as bait in elaborate manipulation schemes. "Emma sad?" she asked, tilting her head with genuine concern. "No, sweetie, I'm okay. Let's make some mac and cheese." But as I stirred the noodles and listened to Lily chatter about the cartoon she wanted to watch, I was making plans. Sarah thought I was pathetic and easy to manipulate? She thought I had no backbone? She was about to learn exactly how wrong she was. My phone buzzed. Another text from Sarah. "Did you decide about the loan? Time's running out and I'm getting really nervous about losing this place. Lily needs stability, 2 hearts." I stared at the message for a long moment, then typed back, "Yes, I've decided. Let's meet up when you get back so we can talk about everything." Everything. Including those voice recordings I just saved to my phone. Her response came back within minutes. "Perfect. I'll be back Sunday evening. Can't wait to see you and thank you properly for everything. You're literally saving our lives right now, Red Heart. Sunday evening. Not Saturday like she'd originally said, not even the maybe Tuesday timeline from her fake gas leak story. She was just making up return dates as she went along, assuming I'd keep Lily indefinitely while she extended her vacation. I spent the rest of Friday afternoon making copies of everything. Screenshots printed and organized by date. Audio files backed up to 3 different cloud services. A detailed timeline of every lie, every fake emergency, every manipulation tactic. If Sarah wanted to play games, I was going to make sure I had all the receipts. Saturday morning, Lily and I were eating breakfast when my phone rang. Unknown number. Hello? Hi, is this Emma? This is Carol, Sarah's mom. My stomach dropped. Sarah's mother almost never called me directly. Hi, Mrs. Chen. Is everything okay? Well, that's what I'm trying to figure out. Sarah told me there was a gas leak at her building and she's been staying with you all week with Lily. But I drove by her apartment yesterday to drop off some mail, and there's no evacuation notice, no emergency vehicles, nothing. The building manager said there's never been any gas leak. I closed my eyes. Of course Sarah had involved her parents in the lie. She probably needed them to think she was in crisis mode in case she needed to borrow money from them too. Mrs. Chen, I looked at Lily, who was happily drawing with her crayons and humming to herself. Maybe we should talk about this after Sarah gets back. Gets back from where? Emma, I'm worried something's really wrong. Sarah's not answering her phone, and this gas leak story isn't adding up. Do you know where she actually is? The concern in her mother's voice made my chest tight. Mrs. Chen was a sweet woman who'd always treated me like family. She brought me homemade dumplings during finals week and remembered my birthday every year. She didn't deserve to be lied to any more than I did. She's at the Marriott Resort. With someone she's dating. She's been there all week. The silence on the other end stretched so long I thought the call had dropped. The Marriott Resort, Mrs. Chen finally repeated, her voice flat. The one that costs $300 a night. Yes, ma'am. And she told me she was homeless and asked to borrow $2,000 for a security deposit on a new apartment. Her voice was getting sharper. She said you were watching Lily out of the goodness of your heart because she had nowhere else to turn. My heart sank even further. $2,000 from her parents, $1,200 from me. Sarah was running the same scam on multiple people simultaneously. Mrs. Chen, I'm so sorry. I had no idea she was. This isn't your fault, sweetheart. But I think Sarah and I need to have a very serious conversation when she gets back from her little vacation. There was steel in her voice now. How long has this been going on? The fake emergencies? A few months. But I just figured out the pattern this week. Fake emergencies, she repeated slowly. Emma, has she been lying to you about other things too? I thought about the voice recordings, the social media posts mocking me, the elaborate stories about work meetings and family crises. Yes, ma'am. A lot of things. Mrs. Chen sighed heavily. I raised her better than this. We all did. Emma, I want you to know that her father and I had no idea she was taking advantage of you like this. If we had known. It's not your fault either, Mrs. Chen. When is she supposed to come back? Sunday evening, she says. But honestly, I don't trust any timeline she gives me anymore. Well, she's going to come back sooner than that. I'm driving to that resort right now to have a conversation with my daughter about responsibility and honesty. And Emma? Don't give her any money. Not a penny. I wasn't planning to. Good girl. We'll figure out how to make this right. After she hung up, I sat staring at my phone. Sarah's own mother was driving 2 hours to confront her at the resort. The web of lies was unraveling faster than Sarah could spin new ones. Lily looked up from her drawing. Was that Grandma Carol? Yes, sweetie. Is she coming to see us? She's going to see your mommy first. Oh. When is mommy coming home? I looked at this innocent little girl who'd been dragged into her mother's schemes without knowing it, and felt my resolve harden. Soon, Lily. Very soon. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. This is Sarah's dad. Carol told me what's been happening. We're both heading to the resort now. Thank you for taking care of Lily, and I'm sorry our daughter put you in this position. Sarah was about to get the surprise of her life. And honestly, she deserved every second of what was coming. 2 hours later, my phone exploded with notifications. Sarah was calling me back to back, then texting frantically when I didn't answer. Emma, please pick up, there's been a huge misunderstanding. My parents are here and they're being completely unreasonable. I can explain everything, just please answer your phone. They're threatening to take Lily away from me. Emma, please. I let the calls go to voicemail while Lily and I built a fort out of couch cushions. She was completely oblivious to the chaos her mother was dealing with 2 hours away, happily arranging her stuffed animals in the blanket cave we created. Around 4 p.m., Mrs. Chen called me back. Emma, honey, we're driving back now. We're bringing Sarah with us. Her voice was tight with controlled anger. She'll be there around 6 to pick up Lily. What did she say when you found her? She tried to lie to our faces. Told us she was there for a work conference and had been too stressed to mention it. Even when we showed her the pool photos on Instagram, she kept making up stories. Mrs. Chen's voice cracked slightly. I don't know what happened to the daughter I raised, but this version of Sarah is not someone I recognize. After she hung up, I spent the next 2 hours cleaning my dorm room and packing Lily's things. Part of me felt relieved that this week-long babysitting marathon was finally ending, but another part dreaded the confrontation that was coming. Sarah would try to spin this somehow, make me the villain for betraying her to her parents. At exactly 6:15 p.m., there was a sharp knock on my door. I opened it to find Sarah standing in the hallway, still wearing resort clothes but looking like she'd been crying for hours. Her parents flanked her on both sides like bodyguards. Emma. Sarah's voice was hoarse. We need to talk. Hi, Sarah. How was your work conference? She flinched at the sarcasm. Look, I know you're upset, but you don't understand the whole situation. I can explain. Sarah Christine Chen, you will not lie to this girl for one more second. Mrs. Chen's voice cut through her daughter's attempted manipulation like a knife. Emma has been nothing but kind to you, and you've repaid that kindness by treating her like your personal servant. Mr. Chen stepped forward, his face grim. We've seen the Instagram posts. We know about the fake emergencies. We know you asked Emma for $1,200 while you were spending God knows how much on a luxury vacation. Sarah's eyes darted between her parents and me, looking for any avenue of escape. Emma, you have to understand. I'm under so much pressure as a single mom. Sometimes I just need a break, and I didn't know how else to ask. You could have been honest, I said quietly. You could have said, Sarah, I want to go on a trip with my boyfriend. Would you mind watching Lily for the weekend? I'll pay you $50. I would have said yes. But you could have said, Sarah, I'm going out with coworkers tonight. Could you babysit for 4 hours? I would have said yes. Emma, please. Instead you made up a story about your mother having a heart attack. My voice was getting stronger. You made me think there was a family emergency while you were doing shots at Murphy's bar. Sarah's face went pale. You don't understand the pressure I'm under. No, you don't understand. I pulled out my phone and opened the screenshots I'd saved. You think I'm pathetic and easy to manipulate. You told your coworkers I'd probably pay you to watch Lily. You called me a desperate girl with no social life. Sarah's mouth fell open as I scrolled through the evidence on my screen. You recorded a voice message for your book club friends calling me naive and saying it was almost sweet how I believed we were actually friends. Emma, I never meant. You meant every word. And the worst part is, you were right about me being naive. I genuinely thought you cared about our friendship. I thought you were grateful when I helped you. I looked directly into her eyes. But I was never your friend, was I? I was just free labor. Mrs. Chen put her hand on my shoulder. Emma, sweetheart, that's enough. You don't need to justify yourself to her. Sarah was crying now, but they looked like angry tears rather than remorseful ones. So what, you went running to my parents like we're in high school. You couldn't just talk to me about this? Talk to you? I almost laughed. Sarah, you've been lying to my face for months. Every conversation we've had has been manipulation. What exactly would we talk about? Lily. Sarah called suddenly. Come say goodbye to Emma. We're going home now. Lily emerged from the blanket fort, looking confused by the tension in the room. Are we going to our house now? Yes, baby. Get your things. As Lily gathered her stuffed animals, she looked up at me with those innocent 3-year-old eyes. Will I see you soon, Emma? Before I could answer, Sarah snapped, we'll see, sweetie. Emma might be too busy for us from now on. Even in front of her parents, even caught red-handed in her lies, Sarah was still trying to manipulate the situation. Making me look like the bad guy to a toddler who didn't understand any of this. That's when I realized something that made my blood run cold. This wasn't over for Sarah. This was just a setback. She was already planning her next move, already figuring out how to spin this story to make herself the victim. And I still had one card left to play. After they left, I sat in my suddenly quiet dorm room and stared at my phone. Sarah's belongings were gone, Lily's cheerful chaos was replaced by silence, and I should have felt relieved. Instead, I felt hollow. My phone buzzed. A text from Sarah, I hope you're happy. You just destroyed a 4-year friendship over some misunderstandings. Lily keeps asking why Emma doesn't want to see her anymore. Thanks for breaking a little girl's heart. I screenshotted it immediately. Even now, she was trying to weaponize her daughter's emotions against me. Another text came through, my parents are threatening to cut off my financial support because of what you told them. I might lose my apartment for real now. I hope it was worth it to you. I was about to turn my phone off when it rang. Jessica's name flashed on the screen. Emma, thank God you answered. I just got off the phone with my cousin, and holy shit, what happened this weekend? I gave Jessica the abbreviated version, the fake gas leak, the resort vacation, the loan scam. She listened in increasingly shocked silence. Jesus Christ, she breathed when I finished. Emma, there's something else you need to know. Sarah called me an hour ago, crying, asking if she could stay at my place for a few days. She said you'd had some kind of mental breakdown and made up lies about her to her parents. My stomach clenched. What did you tell her? I told her I'd think about it. But Emma, the way she was talking about you, it was vicious. She said you'd been obsessed with her and Lily for months, that you'd been stalking her social media and following her around campus. She made it sound like you were some kind of unhinged stalker who'd finally snapped. She's already rewriting the story. I felt sick. There's more. She asked me to post something on Instagram about how worried we all are about your mental health. She wanted me to make it look like our whole friend group is concerned about your erratic behavior lately. I closed my eyes. Sarah was launching a preemptive strike against my reputation. If she could convince everyone that I was unstable and obsessive, no one would believe me when the truth came out. Jess, I have proof of everything. Screenshots, voice recordings, timestamps. I believe you, Em. But you need to know she's not just telling this story to me. I've gotten 3 calls from mutual friends asking if it's true that you've been harassing Sarah and making up stories about her. My hands were shaking now. Who called you? Madison, Ashley, and Brittany so far. Sarah's been working the phones hard for the past 2 hours. She's telling everyone you're having some kind of breakdown and that she's scared of you. I thought about the screenshots I had of Sarah mocking me to those exact same friends, calling me pathetic and easy to manipulate. Now she was painting me as the dangerous one. Jessica, can you do me a favor? If anyone else calls asking about this, can you tell them to talk to me directly before they believe anything? Of course. But Emma, you need to get ahead of this. Sarah's spinning this story fast, and people are going to believe the first version they hear. After she hung up, I opened my laptop and looked at all the evidence I'd compiled. Hours of screenshots, detailed timelines, voice recordings. I had everything I needed to prove Sarah was lying. But she was smart. By making me look unstable first, she was setting up any evidence I presented to look like the desperate attempts of an unhinged ex-friend to destroy her reputation. I was still staring at my screen when my phone buzzed with a text from Madison. Emma, are you okay? Sarah said some really concerning things about your behavior lately. We should talk. Sarah wasn't just denying my accusations. She was flipping the entire script, making herself the victim of my supposed obsession. And I was starting to realize that having proof might not be enough. 2 hours later, my phone was buzzing nonstop. Text after text from people I hadn't heard from in months, all with variations of the same message. Emma, are you doing okay? We're worried about you. The campaign Sarah had launched was working. She'd managed to contact half our graduating class in the span of an evening, painting herself as the concerned friend worried about my deteriorating mental state. But then I got a call that changed everything. Emma? This is Detective Morrison with campus security. We need to talk. My blood went cold. About what? We received a report that you've been harassing another student and making threats. The complainant says she's concerned for her safety and her daughter's safety. Can you come down to the security office? Sarah had called campus police on me. She wasn't just spreading rumors anymore, she was trying to get me in actual legal trouble. Detective Morrison, I think there's been a misunderstanding. Can I ask who filed this report? Sarah Chen. She says you've been stalking her social media, making up stories about her to her family, and that you threatened to destroy her life in a text message earlier today. I frantically scrolled through my messages with Sarah. I'd never sent anything that could be construed as a threat. Unless. Detective, did she show you the actual text message? She provided screenshots, yes. Can you read me exactly what the message says? There was a pause. The message reads, you're about to learn exactly how wrong you are. She says this was sent after she tried to end your friendship because of your obsessive behavior. My mouth fell open. Sarah had taken my text completely out of context, removing all the surrounding messages to make it look threatening. In reality, I'd sent that after discovering her voice recording about manipulating me, but without that context, it did sound ominous. Detective Morrison, I have evidence that Sarah has been systematically lying to me for months. She's been using fake emergencies to manipulate me into babysitting her daughter while she goes on vacation. I have screenshots, timestamps, everything. She's filing this report to discredit me before I can expose her lies. Ma'am, that's a very serious accusation. I think we need to have this conversation in person. Can you be here in 30 minutes? After I hung up, I sat staring at my laptop screen full of evidence. Sarah was brilliant, I had to admit. By reporting me first, she positioned herself as the victim seeking protection rather than the perpetrator trying to cover her tracks. But she'd made one crucial mistake. I pulled up my recording app and scrolled back to last Tuesday, the day Sarah had called asking me to watch Lily because of the gas leak emergency. I'd started recording our phone conversations that week, just to keep track of her lies. There it was, a 12-minute recording of Sarah creating her elaborate story about the building evacuation and her cousin Jessica's apartment. Her voice was calm, practiced, like she'd rehearsed the lie multiple times. She even added fake details about the gas company's timeline and Jessica's supposed small apartment. But the best part came at the end of the call, after she thought she'd hung up. There were 30 seconds of audio where Sarah was clearly talking to someone else, her boyfriend, presumably. God, that was easier than I thought, her voice came through clearly. She bought the whole story. We're good for the entire weekend, babe. Emma's so fucking gullible, I could probably tell her I was dying and she'd volunteer to plan my funeral. The male voice in the background asked, what if she finds out? She won't. Emma's too nice to actually investigate anything. And even if she did, who would believe her over me? I've been setting up the Emma's obsessed with me narrative for weeks now. My friends already think she's pathetic. I'd completely forgotten about this recording until now. Sarah had accidentally left the call running while she celebrated successfully manipulating me, and it captured her admitting to everything. I saved the file to 3 different cloud services and emailed copies to myself. Then I gathered all my printed screenshots, grabbed my laptop, and headed for the campus security office. Sarah thought she was so smart, getting ahead of the story and making me look unstable. She thought her word would carry more weight than mine. But she didn't know I had her own voice, recorded on her own phone call, bragging about how easy it was to manipulate her fucking gullible best friend. Game over, Sarah. The campus security office felt like a sterile interrogation room, all fluorescent lights and metal furniture. Detective Morrison was younger than I'd expected, maybe early 30s, with kind eyes that made me think he might actually listen to what I had to say. Ms. Rodriguez, thank you for coming in. I know this is an uncomfortable situation. He gestured to the chair across from his desk. Before we begin, I want you to know that Ms. Chen seemed genuinely distressed when she filed this report. She was crying, said she was afraid you might escalate your behavior. I set my laptop bag down carefully. Detective Morrison, did Sarah mention that I've been watching her 3-year-old daughter for the past week? He glanced at his notes, looking confused. No, she didn't mention babysitting. She said you'd been inserting yourself into her personal life inappropriately. Inserting myself? I almost laughed. She called me last Friday claiming there was a gas leak at her building. Said she needed emergency childcare and had nowhere else to turn. And you agreed to help? Of course I did. We've been friends for 4 years. But detective, there was no gas leak. Sarah has been at the Marriott Resort all week with her boyfriend. She made up the emergency so she could go on vacation without paying for childcare. Detective Morrison leaned back in his chair. That's a serious allegation. Do you have any proof of this? I opened my laptop and pulled up the Instagram screenshots. These are from her social media accounts throughout the week. Timestamps show her at the resort pool, spa, restaurants. All while she was supposedly homeless due to a gas leak. He studied the screen, his expression growing more serious. These photos are definitely from this week? Yes, sir. And there's more. I showed him the text messages where Sarah had asked for $1,200 for a fake apartment deposit, the conversations with her mother about the $2,000 loan scam. She was running the same con on multiple people simultaneously. Detective Morrison was quiet for a long moment, scrolling through the evidence. Ms. Rodriguez, this does put Ms. Chen's complaint in a different light. But she's claiming you've been obsessively tracking her movements and harassing her family members. I contacted her mother because I was concerned about inconsistencies in Sarah's stories. Mrs. Chen called me back after discovering the gas leak was fake. She's the one who drove to the resort to confront Sarah. And this threatening message she showed me? I pulled up my text thread with Sarah. The full conversation shows the context. I said that after discovering she'd been mocking me to mutual friends, calling me pathetic and easy to manipulate. It wasn't a threat, I was telling her she was wrong about me being spineless. But then I remembered the recording, and my heart started racing. Detective, I have something else. Something Sarah doesn't know about. I explained about the accidental recording from Tuesday's phone call. Detective Morrison's eyebrows went up when I told him Sarah had been caught on tape admitting to the manipulation and calling me fucking gullible. You have her voice saying this? Yes, sir. She thought she'd hung up, but the call was still recording. She was talking to her boyfriend about how easy it was to fool me. I played the audio file, watching Detective Morrison's face change as Sarah's voice filled the room. The casual cruelty in her tone, the way she laughed about my gullibility, the calculated discussion of making me look obsessed if I ever figured out the truth. When the recording ended, Detective Morrison sat back heavily. Ms. Rodriguez, this recording completely contradicts the story Ms. Chin told me. If this is authentic, she's been filing a false police report. It's authentic. I can show you the phone logs, the metadata, everything. I believe you. The question now is what you want to do about this. We could pursue charges against Ms. Chin for filing a false report, fraud for the money she attempted to scam from multiple people, and potentially child endangerment for repeatedly abandoning her daughter under false pretenses. The weight of what he was saying hit me. Sarah could face serious legal consequences for this. Detective, I don't want to ruin her life. I just want people to know the truth about what really happened. That's admirable, but Ms. Chin has already tried to ruin your reputation with false accusations. And she's been using her child as a prop in these schemes. His expression hardened. That crosses a line we take very seriously. My phone buzzed with a text from Ashley. Emma, Sarah says you threatened her kid. That's really fucked up. Don't contact any of us until you get help. I showed Detective Morrison the message. This is what I mean. She's telling people I threatened Lily. She's systematically destroying my relationships. Ms. Rodriguez, I think you need to consider that Sarah Chen is not going to stop this campaign against you just because you take the high road. She's escalating, and people like this usually don't stop until they're forced to. As if on cue, my phone rang. An unknown number. Don't answer that, Detective Morrison said quickly. Let me trace the number first. But it was too late, I'd already picked up. Emma? This is Dean Patterson from Student Affairs. I need you to come to my office immediately. We've received some very serious allegations about your conduct. I felt my stomach drop as Dean Patterson's words sank in. Dean Patterson, I'm actually at the campus security office right now with Detective Morrison discussing this exact situation. You're with campus security? His voice sharpened with concern. Ms. Rodriguez, I've had 3 separate students contact my office in the past hour claiming you've been making threatening statements about harming a child. This is extremely serious. Detective Morrison gestured for me to put the call on speaker. Dean Patterson, this is Detective Morrison. I think there's been a significant misunderstanding about the situation. Detective? What's going on here? Sir, we've been reviewing evidence that suggests the complainant, Sarah Chen, has been filing false reports. Ms. Rodriguez has provided substantial documentation proving Ms. Chen has been engaged in systematic fraud and manipulation. There was a long pause. I'm going to need both of you in my office immediately. This situation is getting out of hand, and I need to understand what's really happening before this escalates further. As we walked across campus to the administration building, Detective Morrison's phone buzzed constantly. 3 more students have called in reports about you in the past 20 minutes, he said grimly. Sarah's really pushing this narrative hard. My heart sank as I recognized the names he read off: Marcus, Jennifer, and David. These were people I'd studied with, grabbed coffee with, considered genuine friends. Sarah had convinced them I was dangerous in less than 3 hours. Detective, how is this possible? How can she turn people against me so quickly? People like Sarah are very good at reading social dynamics. She probably identified who would be most susceptible to believing her story and hit them first, then used their concern as proof to convince others. He paused outside the admin building. The fact that she involved a child in her accusations makes it especially effective. People don't question stories about protecting kids. Dean Patterson's office felt like a tribunal. He sat behind his massive desk with a thick folder already assembled, printouts of what looked like text messages, emails, and written statements. My chest tightened as I realized how much evidence Sarah had managed to fabricate in just a few hours. Ms. Rodriguez, I've known you for 4 years. You've been on the dean's list, you tutor other students, your professors speak highly of your character. He gestured to the folder. Which is why these allegations are so shocking. Multiple students are claiming you've been making disturbing statements about wanting to teach Sarah a lesson and that you've been obsessing over her daughter inappropriately. Dean Patterson, those students have been deliberately misled. I opened my laptop, hands shaking slightly. Sarah has been running elaborate scams on multiple people, including her own parents. I have recordings, screenshots, timestamped evidence of everything. Before we review any evidence, Dean Patterson said carefully, I need to address the immediate safety concerns. Sarah Chen filed a formal complaint claiming you sent threatening messages about her 3-year-old daughter. Detective Morrison leaned forward. Sir, we've already reviewed the actual text messages. Ms. Chen took them completely out of context and implied threats that don't exist in the full conversation. I want to see everything, Dean Patterson said. But first, Ms. Rodriguez, I need you to understand that if even a fraction of these allegations are true, you're looking at immediate suspension, possible expulsion, and criminal charges. The weight of Sarah's strategy hit me fully. She wasn't just trying to discredit me, she was trying to destroy my entire future. For years of college, my upcoming graduation, my graduate school applications, my teaching career aspirations. All of it could disappear because of her lies. Dean Patterson, I said quietly, I have a recording of Sarah admitting she made everything up. Her own voice, talking about how easy I am to manipulate and how she's been setting up this exact scenario for weeks. His eyebrows shot up. You have her confession? She didn't know the call was still recording. I pulled up the audio file. This was recorded last Tuesday when she called asking me to babysit during her fake emergency. As Sarah's voice filled the office, casually discussing her manipulation tactics and calling me fucking gullible, I watched Dean Patterson's expression transform from concerned authority figure to shocked disbelief. The recording ended in complete silence. Jesus Christ, Dean Patterson breathed. She's been planning this for weeks. There's more, Detective Morrison said grimly, checking his phone. Ms. Rodriguez, we just received a call from Child Protective Services. Someone reported that you've been keeping Sarah's daughter against her will and making inappropriate comments about wanting to replace her mother. My blood turned to ice. CPS? But Lily's not even with me anymore. Sarah picked her up hours ago. Dean Patterson's face had gone pale. Sarah called CPS and claimed you're holding her daughter. Not Sarah directly, Detective Morrison clarified, reading from his phone. The report came from someone named Madison Torres, claiming she witnessed concerning behavior and felt obligated to report suspected child endangerment. Madison. One of my former friends who Sarah had clearly gotten to first. I felt sick realizing how deep this conspiracy had already spread. This is insane, I whispered. Sarah is using the entire system against me, campus security, student affairs, child services. She's not just ruining my reputation, she's trying to create an official record that I'm dangerous. Detective Morrison nodded gravely. It's actually brilliant, in a twisted way. Each false report she files creates paper trail evidence that supports the next accusation. By the time we prove one claim is fraudulent, she's already filed 3 more through different channels. My phone started buzzing with a call from my mom. Emma, honey, I just got the strangest call from someone named Ashley claiming you've been making threats about hurting a child. What in God's name is going on? Mom, I can't talk right now. I'm meeting with the dean and campus police. Sarah's been lying about everything. Sarah? Your friend Sarah? Emma, this girl Ashley sounded terrified. She said multiple people are concerned about your mental state. I hung up, hands shaking. Sarah had expanded her campaign to my family now. Dean Patterson, I said desperately, you have to understand what she's doing. She's systematically contacting every person in my life with the same false story, building this web of witnesses who all believe I'm unhinged. By the time anyone asks for actual proof, there are already 20 people repeating the same lies. And the beauty of it, Detective Morrison added darkly, is that each person she convinces becomes genuine evidence to the next person. When your friend Ashley calls your mother, she's not lying, she genuinely believes you're dangerous because Sarah convinced her first. Dean Patterson was furiously taking notes. This is the most sophisticated character assassination I've seen in 20 years of university administration. She's not just spreading rumors, she's creating an alternate reality where dozens of people have witnessed behavior that never happened. Another call came through to Detective Morrison. He listened intently, his expression growing darker. That was the district attorney's office. Someone filed a formal criminal complaint alleging terrorist threats against a minor child. They want to bring you in for questioning tomorrow morning. Terrorist threats? My voice came out as barely a whisper. Sarah's escalating faster than I expected, he said grimly. She's not content with just destroying your social relationships and academic standing. She wants you arrested. Dean Patterson stood abruptly. We need to get ahead of this immediately. Detective Morrison, how long will it take you to compile a comprehensive report proving these allegations are fabricated? With all of Ms. Rodriguez's evidence? Maybe 6 hours. But sir, Sarah's created so much false documentation in different systems that debunking everything could take days. We don't have days, Dean Patterson replied sharply. The DA's office moves fast on anything involving threats against children. If Emma gets arrested tomorrow, it won't matter that the charges are eventually dropped. The damage to her future will be permanent. As if summoned by our conversation, my phone rang again. This time it was Professor Martinez, my thesis advisor. Emma, I just received a very disturbing call from the Graduate Admissions Committee at Columbia. They said someone contacted them with serious concerns about your psychological stability and fitness for their teaching program. I closed my eyes. Columbia. My dream school, my future career, everything I'd worked toward for 4 years. Professor Martinez, I'm being framed by someone I trusted. I have proof. Emma, I've known you since you were a sophomore. I don't believe these allegations for a second. But you need to understand, Columbia is withdrawing their acceptance offer pending a full investigation. They can't take risks with candidates who have active CPS reports and pending criminal charges. After he hung up, I sat in stunned silence. In less than 6 hours, Sarah had destroyed my friendships, my family relationships, my academic standing, my graduate school placement, and my future career prospects. She's not just trying to discredit me, I said slowly. She's systematically destroying every aspect of my life as punishment for discovering her lies. Detective Morrison's expression was grim. And she's just getting started. The next morning arrived with a call that changed everything. Detective Morrison's voice was tight with barely contained excitement. Emma, you need to get down here immediately. Sarah just made the biggest mistake of her life. I threw on clothes and rushed to the campus security office, where Detective Morrison was practically vibrating with energy. She got greedy, he said, pulling up security footage on his computer. After filing all those false reports yesterday, Sarah decided to plant physical evidence to support her claims. The grainy black and white video showed Sarah sneaking into my dorm building at 3 a.m. using someone else's keycard. She was carrying a small bag and looking around nervously as she approached my door. She broke into your room? I gasped. Better. She tried to plant what looks like printed emails and photos under your door, probably fake evidence of you stalking her and Lily. But our new security system caught everything. Detective Morrison grinned. Breaking and entering, planting false evidence, criminal trespass. She just handed us felony charges. My phone buzzed. Dean Patterson, emergency meeting in my office. Bring Detective Morrison. Now. We rushed across campus to find Dean Patterson's office packed with people. Mrs. Chin sat in one corner looking furious, while a woman in an expensive suit I didn't recognize reviewed a thick file of documents. Emma, Dean Patterson said grimly, meet Assistant District Attorney Rebecca Walsh. She's been reviewing Sarah's complaint overnight. ADA Walsh looked up from her papers. Ms. Rodriguez, I've spent the past 12 hours investigating the allegations against you. I've reviewed your evidence, interviewed Sarah's parents, and examined the social media posts. I've also spoken with Child Protective Services about the report filed against you. My heart pounded. And? The person who filed the CPS report claimed to have witnessed you making threats in person yesterday. But according to your dorm's keycard logs, you never left the building. The witness described events that were physically impossible. Mrs. Chin spoke up, her voice shaking with anger. Ms. Walsh, my daughter has been lying to everyone, her friends, her family, the police, your office. She's damaged this poor girl's reputation with completely fabricated stories. More than that, ADA Walsh continued, Sarah contacted Columbia University's admissions office claiming to be a concerned professor reporting disturbing behavior. She impersonated faculty to sabotage your graduate school placement. The weight of it hit me. She impersonated a professor? Federal crime. Wire fraud, identity theft. Detective Morrison looked satisfied. Plus the breaking and entering we caught on camera this morning. Sarah's looking at serious prison time. ADA Walsh leaned forward. Ms. Rodriguez, I want you to know that all criminal complaints against you are being dropped immediately. Our investigation has found no evidence of threats, harassment, or inappropriate behavior. In fact, the evidence shows you've been the victim of an elaborate criminal conspiracy. What about my friends? The people who believed her? Mrs. Chin stood up. Emma, honey, my husband and I have been making phone calls all morning. We've contacted every person Sarah lied to and shared the evidence of her deception. Most of them are horrified they were manipulated into hurting you. My phone started buzzing with messages. Ashley, Emma, I'm so sorry. Mrs. Chin showed me the recordings. I can't believe Sarah used us all like this. Madison, oh my God, Emma, I feel sick about the CPS call. Sarah had me convinced you were dangerous. Can you ever forgive me? Professor Martinez, Emma, I've spoken with Columbia. They're reinstating your acceptance immediately and issuing a formal apology. The best part, Detective Morrison said with satisfaction, is that Sarah doesn't know we caught her planting evidence yet. She's about to walk into a trap. As if summoned, my phone rang. Sarah's name appeared on the screen. ADA Walsh gestured for me to answer and put it on speaker. Let's see what story she tells now. Emma. Sarah's voice was panicked. Thank God you answered. Something terrible has happened. Someone broke into your dorm last night and planted fake evidence trying to frame you. I saw suspicious activity and tried to warn security, but they wouldn't listen. You need to get a lawyer. The room erupted in shocked laughter. Sarah was literally trying to pin her own break-in on an imaginary third party while positioning herself as my concerned protector. That's interesting, Sarah, I said carefully. What kind of evidence? Photos, fake emails, stuff that makes it look like you've been obsessing over me and Lily. Someone's really trying to destroy your life, Emma. I think maybe one of our mutual friends is jealous of our friendship and wants to turn us against each other. Even now, caught red-handed, Sarah was spinning new lies and trying to manipulate me. ADA Walsh took the phone. Ms. Chen, this is Assistant District Attorney Walsh. You're under arrest for multiple felonies including filing false police reports, fraud, identity theft, breaking and entering, and criminal harassment. Please turn yourself in immediately. The line went dead. Detective Morrison was already coordinating with patrol units to pick Sarah up. Within an hour, she was in custody, and by evening, the story of her elaborate deception was spreading through campus like wildfire. 3 days later, I got a text from Mrs. Chen. Emma, Lily keeps asking about you. Would you like to visit sometime? No babysitting required, just as someone who genuinely cares about her. I smiled for the first time in weeks. Despite everything Sarah had put me through, I'd gained something unexpected, a family who actually valued my friendship, mutual friends who'd learned not to believe rumors without evidence, and the hard-won knowledge that I was stronger than I'd ever imagined. Sarah had been right about one thing, I was too trusting. But she'd been wrong about everything else. I wasn't pathetic or desperate or easy to manipulate anymore. I was done being anyone's free anything.